Now, I know you're losing your mind like I am right now.
Yeah, boy.
But don't worry, I'm about to make the process faster than it actually is. I mean, slower. Before we begin, One Piece, One Piece, One Piece, One Piece, One Piece. Yo!
Stop it. Get some help.
I'm excited. But before we begin, welcome back to the One Piece Club, where we literally save people from going insane with simple and clear analysis. So I have two things for you. Subscribe to the channel. If you like, that would be a bonus too, right? And join the Discord server. Link in the description. So, oh God, Oda. One Piece chapter 1163. I just want to point out that it's been 103 chapters since the destruction of Lulusia. And Oda gave us this? Like, this is a historic moment in the manga industry. And I'm not going to say mind-blowing because I promise to save you. But something has to be said. This is big, yo. In this chapter, we have two big things to talk about. The legends versus Imu and Imu's Domi Reversi, plus other abilities as well. But before we dive into this, let's set a few things aside that we saw in this chapter. Did I even say that right? Let me know. But I feel like it's a better way. And let's jump into the first speculation. Speculation number one, Captain John. The first speculation is about Captain John, and it turned out to be correct. It was easy, honestly, but what we need to know is whether he is Eustace Kid's father. I know it might not be possible, but having the same devil fruit adds a little to Kid's plot line or to his importance as a character in One Piece. Now, being the son of a Rock's pirate is really significant and could mean he'll be coming back soon. Now, since Oda loves to make parallels between the old and the new generations, it's not unimaginable. Do you think I'm dreaming though? Let me know. You can't have a final war on a greater scale than God Valley without Captain John's son. So, using his magnet fruit, Captain John pulled almost all the treasure and weapons from around the island towards him. And to me, it looks like he's an awakened user, which is there's no doubt about. But Ganzui, his crewmate, beat the shit out of him. That's just like that. Like, wow. So much influence. To me, I feel like he doesn't have the battle prowess. Ganzui actually realized what Captain John was doing and said, you know what? Eliminate him right now. I got you right now. Well, this is how the Rock's pirates work. We saw how Kaido stole the devil fruit from Big Mom. So to me, this is nothing new. Now, we know that Ganzui had the Bomu Bomu no Mi, which is Mr. Five's devil fruit, if you remember. But don't worry about the two because Gecko Moria helped them become best friends and really good acquaintances again as zombies. Though, bro, that is so sad. But let's move on. Let's talk about my goat, Monkey D. Dragon. What are you doing, Oda? What are you doing to my goat dragon? He does survive this, right? We know that. So does Shanks. And this is how we found out how he ended up in the treasure box. And that's basically it for the side events. So now let's move on to the main event. So previously we thought that Imu could only possess the minds of the Holy Knights and the Five Elders. But now, yo, we see Imu even changing Saint Saturn's body. Literally. Like they literally fuse together. You know, like Dragon Ball. Like how the Dragon Ball fusion works. And like every merciless villain, Imu started killing everyone left, right, center, Marines or pirates. It didn't matter. It did not matter to the King of Rats. Like, yo, to actually get Imu called the King of Rats is so insane. The major rat everybody started accusing of being a rat in One Piece was Shanks because of Shamrock's conversation with the Gorosei, right? But that's neither here or there. Also, Rocks has farmed so much aura and has taken a top tier list of the most badass characters in One Piece. And this is a problem because it will be too hard for Oda to make the Straw Hats or at least the Monster Trio overshadow him. But I trust Oda, okay? I also trust him to give a solid reason for why the King of Rats, that name now, the King of Rats, I love that, called Rocks Davy Jones. I mean, I saw him refer to him as Rocks when he was telepathically communicating with Saturn. We literally saw Imu say Saturn is Rock's dad. I believe this is not a mistake by Oda because in the previous chapter, this could have a direct relationship with the will of D. I don't doubt this for a moment, especially when Rock said that the promise must be fulfilled. That was the first thing that came into my mind. Now, Oda, we're racking our brains too much. Come on, give us better hints, please, man. By the way, I dropped a video on the Davy clan and Davy D. Jones, so make sure to check it out because this is a banger of a video. Let me know what you guys think. If I missed anything, let me know in the comments. Yo, Oda is throwing bombs. Now, after saying that, I believe what's important at that moment is that Rox knows too much about the Void Century, either through stories of Davy D. Jones or through a poneglyph from God Valley or a hidden text from somewhere else. It definitely has to be a poneglyph we haven't seen yet. Now, let's take this for granted because he may not know the details, but the main topic of the poneglyph that was passed down through the generations of the Davy family, right, might be similar to how information about the Mermaid Princess and Joy Boy was known to King Neptune. Now, this promise that Rox talks about is definitely related to the unfulfilled promise of Joy Boy to the Mermaid Princess, because we can already see the links connecting these characters. The links connecting Joy Boy, Davy D. Jones, Queen Lily, and the Mermaid Princess. Now, these were beaten by Emu, well, except Lily, so they probably made a promise to rise again someday, or left that promise to those who will inherit their will in the future. So now, Garp and Roger are going straight to Emu to join forces to fight. Now, for Roger, it's basically like Luffy and he just wants to fight a strong enemy. For Garp, things are a bit different, right? We saw how he fell into this morality pit last chapter and how he was shocked by the excessive cruelty of the celestial dragons. So when Emu appeared with basically the final boss vibes, he couldn't just stand still and do nothing. For those who still criticize Garp, just put yourself in his place right now, right? Yeah, this is fictional, but just put yourself in his place for a moment. He was ignorant. He was basically just dumb. He didn't understand reality, and basically that is not a great excuse, but we at least know that he's not a war freak who just cares about chasing Roger. He was the only person, right, to attack Emu. Like, that is Emu, the god of this world. Yet 38 years later, he's still a vice admiral. Like, nobody can touch Garp, even Emu. After him attacking Emu and nothing happening to him, he is a unique goat. He's also goated in his own way, but he's a unique goat. But yeah. Some issues about him that need to be cleared are still out there. And we can come up with them as the God Valley flashback continues, right? We've already seen a few of them, but I'm trying to figure out what he actually changed. But anyway, that was a sidebar. Kaido is beginning to become one of my favorites. Like, I like this version of Kaido. He is a total 180 degrees different from his Yonko version. And it could be that this God Valley incident radically changed him. He's not stupid, and he realizes how strong Emu is, yet he's telling jokes. I really feel sorry for Big Mom, right? It looks like she's always pissed off. And we finally get to see the scene. This reminds me of something. It reminds me of that time when the worst generation basically all attacked Kaido at once. That kind of reminds me of that. And that was so epic, but it doesn't even come close to this. I think it's beginning to make sense now, but it's worth mentioning how Kaido has basically grown to become that invincible villain whose defeat doesn't even seem realistic. Also, I want to point out another thing. I just realized that Oda changed his usual style in this spread. I know that everyone who's been reading this series, right, for a long time can tell this. The position of each character, the layout, basically, and the shading literally seems different from the visual, and I love it. I like how Oda shaded and drew this chapter. It made this seem way cooler and special and more impactful. I'm saying impactful for us, but not for Emu. We also saw in this chapter that Emu got smashed to pieces, but that did not change anything. Like, what? When we saw Scopper Gaban, we saw him chop up one of the Holy Knights, and he was immobile for a bit, but Emu still, boy, Luffy has a battle to fight. Emu is too overpowered. To get smashed and that not do anything or not change anything, this is insane. I'm not sure whether to refer to Emu as a human or a monster. Like, how did this being regenerate as if nothing hit it? Of course, this could be some broken devil fruit ability, but I'm not sure about that. We still don't know what powers the Gorosei have. All it said when they tried the Gorosei transform was they were yokai. So I really want to know what Emu's fruit or power is if it's not a devil fruit. We already saw the Toki Toki no Mi, which can control time. So I don't think that Oda will use this time to trick us once again. He's not going to do that again. And you know what's even crazier though? This could be Imu's real body. This might not be an actual silhouette. This could actually be Imu himself or herself, if that's the case, by the way. But we can't tell whether Imu is male or female. We still can't figure that out yet. I'm leaning towards Imu being a female, but I'm not sure. Plus, Imu's regeneration abilities makes it seem impossible to beat it. And I don't know whether Oda has already planned how the Straw Hats will do that or not. You know, like how he said he was foreshadowing how the Kaido fight was going to be like. I really hope he has, though, but I hope it's not a punch like he did with Kaido. Now, Imu's regeneration ability is totally different from what the Holy Knights have. We saw how Rox's Haki was effective against Garling, and previously with Saint Shepherd Somar's when Scarpa attacked him. Imu's monstrous display of power didn't stop here. Their Conqueror's Haki knocked out almost everyone on the island except Monkey the Goat Dragon. Everybody was getting knocked back. With one panel, we still can't compare it to Joy Boy's Haki, but I think they're close in strength. Yes, my nameless friend. The Battle of the World's End has basically just started. Imu using Domi Reversi on Rox was probably one of the biggest turning points in the history of the world of One Piece. But before this, I just want to say that I still don't know if Imu is smart or dumb. The image I have of Imu is basically that of a king who lives in complete isolation and leaves everything for the five elders to handle. Yet here we see them talking to Rox about Ares and how she joined the Davy family recently. Like, what is that? Bro, if you can dig up that much info and details, I think you should have killed all your enemies earlier on, not waiting for them to become this powerful or to become something like the sun god Nika. And yes, Imu, you said that. Letting Teach live has severe consequences, so do something. But he didn't. Imu did nothing. Anyway, this is just a fictional story, so those kind of arguments don't work. Fans should really be able to distinguish between the logic of real life and the logic of fiction, especially that of shonen series. Let's move on. So, Rox is under Imu's control and will kill his family. Another big tragedy for the Davy family that basically makes Teach's mindset and his character a bit more understandable. If your father killed your mom in front of your eyes, why would you trust your adoptive father? Look, Domi Reversi is a very broken ability, and I'm sure it has some activation conditions and limitations too. If that is not the case, some serious plot holes will pop up in front of us in the very near future. Now, some of you pointed out that it could only be used on people, basically those who have returned to their homeland after a journey. Similar to how Dory and Brogy and the rest of the crew fell to Imu right after returning to elbaph. This could tie into the Japanese tradition of saying Tadaima. Maybe it's related to Imu's past and their personality complex. Imu is just too strong, too dark, and very, very different from all other One Piece villains that we've seen so far, which makes me afraid of the famous power creep problem. I've already seen people comparing Imu to Kaguya, and honestly, I cannot blame them. But I believe that there's a good explanation for Imu's powers and their weaknesses if we find one. Probably the One Piece is the key to defeating Imu, which is the entire point of the story. That could be the entire plot. That is also why Roger wanted the One Piece. And when he found it but couldn't use it, he gave up. He knew that defeating Imu would be impossible without the One Piece. This battle against Imu and how Roger and his crew were forced to fight Rox pushed him to dedicate his life to finding a way to defeating Imu or to beat or best Imu. I hope like everybody will stop criticizing the Roger pirates for doing nothing after Roger died, right? Maybe they're even waiting for Luffy and his crew to power up so they can join them. Now, Rox was undoubtedly the strongest in the group. So when his allies saw how he lost to Imu and Imu's god tier powers, of course their mentality is going to change. 3 of them became Yonkos and chose stability over ambition. Roger, as a D, literally chose to do what Rox couldn't do. And for Garp, it was basically beneficial for the world government to not kill him and to use him as a symbol. So basically overall, the life and death of Rox D. Xebec changed the goals and actions of the entire generation of One Piece characters. Just like how it fuels you to hit the subscribe button. Just like how I encourage you to hit the subscribe button every time there's a video. But I appreciate you guys watching up to the end. I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching my videos. I love you guys. Remember, subscribe, like, and join the Discord server. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.